Welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is externalities and talking about how we identify our self-worth and our identities actually with so much in the outside world. And we're going to talk about the core of worthiness that we get to connect to and see how that impacts our experience of living and our experience of ourselves and others. So, before we get started, though, let's just take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it, and imagine clean, crisp oxygen just flooding your lungs and flowing into your bloodstream and into every cell and every organ of your body, lighting you up, enlivening you, invigorating you, and bringing vitality to every portion of you and your being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any stress. And let's take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it, and this time imagine sparkling white light lighting you up, energizing you, and electrifying you and all your molecules and all your atoms and all your electrons and connecting you to the world beyond. And as you exhale, exhale any stress, any remaining tension. And now let's just bring ourselves present to our bodies by gently pressing your palms together and softly, softly, softly rubbing your fingers against your palms to feel how delicious that is. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get present right here, right now. It's great to be here with you. Good morning, Ross. Great to see you. I'm so glad you're here with us. So, today we're talking about externalities and how we identify with our value, how we assess our value and the value of others in so many ways based on things and ideas and activities in the outside world. And I was having this conversation with a client yesterday, and it was really, really interesting to look at separating, for instance, how much money we have, for instance, from our worthiness, because in our culture, we're so acclimated or um, or programmed really to attach our well-being or our belief in our worthiness to, for instance, our income. And if we're not making what we consider to be enough money, then we think that we're not worthy, perhaps, or we judge other people based on how much money they make, whether it's more money or less money than we make ourselves. Good morning, Tammy. Welcome. So glad to have you here. So, what would it be like if you could value yourself, like recognize your inherent worthiness just by virtue of the fact of your being here? What would it be like if we could know that we're worthy and we don't have to prove ourselves to anyone or anything, including ourselves, that we could just be present to our worthiness? Welcome, Hope. I'm glad to see you back. Good afternoon. I'm glad you're joining us. So, we're talking about externalities and worthiness, and one of the things that I was thinking about in relation to this, because we've talked about this before, is the way that we identify with ideologies, and we give ourselves um, identities and monikers based on our affiliations. And this has been something that we've seen in our country with the political parties. You know, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a independent, I'm a whatever I am. The thing is that we are not those things. We might hold similar beliefs, but when we become identified with externals, um, then then we lose our own. Good morning, Dido. Welcome. So glad to have you here. We lose our own sense of identity. And like when we look at winning and losing, there we take those things on as identities. And somehow I see that even when it's about for things like money, people who value money more than other things in their lives, or people who are righteous about not valuing money. What happens is that this focus on externalities uh, it takes us away from ourselves, and it puts us in a position where we feel a need to have to prove ourselves somehow, to prove ourselves to others, to prove ourselves to ourselves, to be right, to be winners, to be better. I heard a thing on, I think it was on NPR. It was talking about a study, and forgive me if I don't speak it with great accuracy, but it was talking about a study with groups of little boys at different schools, and sports team, and they were learning to play this game, and uh, when they found out that there was this other group at another school, then they got really competitive. They got really mean, actually, to each other. I'm not saying that competition has to be mean, but I am saying that it tends to get that way. I'm from Philadelphia, and I am not a sports person, but I know that the Philadelphia fans have a reputation for being really, really hostile to fans from or teams from other places. And it's a crazy, crazy. Good morning, Lamorla. Welcome. And Sair, welcome. Great to have you guys here. We're talking about externalities and how identifying with external val identifying our value, or recognizing or calibrating our internal value based on externals and our affiliations can be just it keeps us from connecting with ourselves, and it keeps us in a position where we try to prove things to ourselves and to the external world, because that's how we're valuing ourselves, right? So just to talk about the Philadelphia fans, games in Philadelphia, when apparently when Philadelphia wins or Philadelphia loses, cars get turned over. But it's craziness, right? Because this affiliation, this self-worth that is projected outward based on our our affiliations. It's like, I'm valuable because I'm a Philadelphia fan, or I'm valuable because I make a bunch of money, or I'm valuable because I do yoga every day. I mean, all these things about doing, and what we create in the world, and what we think, and what we have. Um, all of these things are ways that we validate ourselves, right? And so I'm wondering, what would it be like to just recognize that we're worthy by virtue of our being, purely by virtue of our being. So I was talking about a session that I did with a client yesterday, and it was really interesting because we were talking about money and talking about um, the desire for money, and at the same time, sort of a righteousness about about not having money. So, it's like or feeling a righteousness about not having money in a way, and also at the same time feeling victimized by not having money. And it's two sides of the same coin. It's kind of assessing one's own value based on what one has or doesn't have. And so it was really interesting and amazing, because right after the session, uh, this client sent me a quote that came across her desk at the, like right after our session. And I'm just going to share it because it's so important for all of us to connect to this internal intrinsic worthiness that is our birthright, just by virtue of the fact that we are here and breathing and alive. So, does the sun ask itself, am I good? Am I worthwhile? Is there enough of me? No, it burns and it shines. Does the sun ask itself, what does the moon think of me? How does Mars feel about me today? No, it burns, it shines. Does the sun ask itself, am I as big as other suns in other galaxies? No, it burns, it shines. And that's what we get to do. And we get to burn and shine our own light brightly and brilliantly, and be an expression of our truest and deepest song. And we don't need to identify ourselves with the externals. And so one of the things that I'm very raw about, actually, is, and I don't think I'm alone in this, that through this election and through the politics that have been going on in the country, um, I have seen such meanness from people on all sides, and it breaks my heart. It completely breaks my heart. And I just want to see us be respectful and loving. I really just want to see us find a way to connect to one another and to be operating out of our highest selves, whatever our beliefs, whatever our politics, whatever our alliances and allegiances. There's no, it's enough meanness, you know? Let's grow up and grow out of that together, please. We have so much greater capacity. We have so much more available to us. And I don't want this to be a political forum. It's not. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking humanity. And it's time for us to work together. We have big problems in the world to face as a human family, and the only way we're going to do it is if we do it together. So let's just stop the squabbling. And I am not pointing fingers, because I've seen meanness all the way around. That is not okay. It's time for us to say enough, and to make a truce and make peace with one another. Lamorla says, I totally agree. And, I was talking about the election yesterday, and even though this isn't a political forum, I can't, I don't want it to be a political forum, but people started writing some politically oriented things and started arguing and fighting, and I was appalled. It's like, no, it's not okay. Enough. We need to stop. We need to mend fences. We need to build bridges. We need to find our central core, find that light within ourselves, that goodness within ourselves, and find a way to connect with each other and to heal and to mend wounds. We have a lot ahead of us as human beings. That's so much more than this election. To be able to turn things around on this planet, we don't have that big a window, and it calls us all to our highest nature. And so the externalities, identifying with your team or my team, the way that we've judged each other, the way that we've devalued one another, it's unacceptable. It's not okay. We get to stop doing that. We get to be our highest selves, and we get to share that with others. We get to rise to the calling of this moment, because we are in an emergency. And I'm not just talking about in this country, I'm talking about globally. And we can turn it around if we collectively work together to each day, each of us rise to our best selves, rise to our best selves, rise to our humanity, rise to our possibility and our commitment to make this planet livable, to take care of one another, to create a world of peace. We can do this. We can do this. And it takes us all really having a good look at our own behavior and elevating ourselves, choosing our better selves. I know that we can get angry and upset and enraged and feel oppositional and feel victimized and feel just even hopeless. But we get to rally and pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and come back and elevate this whole game. Okay, we get to do that together. And you know, this is my vision for all of us, and I'm not alone, thankfully, in that vision, that we really can do this. We can. And it's time to call forth our fortitude and our strength and our compassion and love and our highest vision, and to carry that forth to bring all of us together, and not be so identified with all of these externals that have been manufactured. You know, we are the sun. We get to shine just by virtue of being here. And if we don't have to prove ourselves to ourselves or anyone else, then we have the opportunity to be able to just share our humanity, right? So we all have a contribution to make, and we're called to do that now more than ever. We're all needed now more than ever in our highest expression, to be able to create a world that is livable, actually livable, like that has air we can breathe and water we can drink and shelter and community. You know, this is a time for coming together, even in the face of all of this division. And it's going to take everything we've got to rise to that. But we can, and we will. We can, if we each accept our role in elevating it. As we elevate ourselves, we elevate each other. And we don't have to be manipulated by external forces that tell us that we're separate. You know, we can see beyond that, and we can live beyond that. And in fact, we need to in order to continue on the planet. We get to work together and be creative together and generative together, because it's by dividing us that we lose our power. When we work together, we're unstoppable. But when divided, that we're so busy focusing on our division that we're not paying attention to the things that really need our care. So I'm just reaching out to you to say, let's do this thing. We can do this. And it means moving past our differences. It means finding a way through together, finding bridges together. So that's it for today. That's it. Today's message is don't be bound to your worthiness depending upon externals. Don't be bound to these manufactured separations and identities. Find your light. Be the sun shining that you are. And be true to your heart and soul and your values. And let's find bridges with each other so that we can create the world that we dream of. So I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I'm here every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. And I encourage you to check out Enlightened World Network programming, heartfelt healers and light workers. And I thank you all for being here and for sharing your light and your commitment and your brilliance. And I'm so grateful to you for sharing this time. Please, let's shine brightly and let's create community and connection. So much love. Until next time.